All right, in this explainer, we're going to document a specific market DNA cycle. The asset we're focusing on is copper. So let's jump right in.
So what you're looking at here is a case study using the market DNA system. It's really important to know right from the start that this is a proprietary geometric model. It does not use any standard technical or fundamental analysis that you might be used to. Here's a quick roadmap of what we'll cover. First, we'll document the copper cycle itself. Then we'll dive into phase 1, covering both the entry protocol and the potential return scenarios. From there, we'll look at how the model navigates the subsequent phases. And we'll finish up with some very important disclaimers.
Okay, let's get into the specifics. We are now documenting the market DNA cycle, identified as copper_2_1.
This chart shows you the model's geometric structure. This is a snapshot from the exact moment phase 1 was initiated. And for the record, that date was February 17, 2026.
Next up, let's break down the entry protocol for phase 1. We'll also look at its associated risk management parameters. And remember, all of this was defined right at the very beginning of the cycle.
So the protocol lays out two potential entry levels here. The primary entry is at what's called level M, and that's priced at 5.7177. There's also an optional secondary entry defined at PC, which is set at 5.5392.
Now, to manage risk, this framework is defined by several key parameters that were established right from the get-go.
These defined parameters include a trapezoid time duration of 32 days. There's a risk coefficient of 2, and a total risk domain that's been calculated at 15.68%.
To put this into perspective, let's look at a risk preview. Using a hypothetical $100,000 of capital and a max drawdown of 5%, a specific trade size is calculated. For each of those two potential entry points, the trade size comes out to 0.28.
Now, what's really interesting is how the model codifies this calculation. The documentation states explicitly, and I'll quote it directly for you, both trade sizes are calculated using the hypothetical capital, the investor's maximum allowed drawdown, the third triangle domain percentage, the risk coefficient, and the contract size. Okay, so with the entry and risk parameters laid out, let's review the potential return scenarios. These were all projected from that initial phase 1 setup.
The model defines a clear progression of 3 different price targets. Target 1, or T1, is set at the mirror, or the lower trapezoid boundary. T2 is at a point called apex N, and the final target, T3, is right at the trapezoid top.
This leads to two potential profit scenarios. Scenario 1 assumes only that first entry gets triggered. It projects an annual return of about 11.63%. Scenario 2, on the other hand, assumes both entries are triggered, and in this case, the potential annual return is projected to be 23.38%. So how does this all play out? Well, understanding the sequence of events is absolutely crucial. This sequence defines the path for the rest of the cycle.
The cycle can follow one of two predefined paths. There's the normal path, which proceeds in order, phase 1 to 2, then 3, and 4. But an alternative path is also possible, where phase 3 actually occurs before phase 2.
This slide does a great job of illustrating the defined milestones. Phase 2 is triggered by contact with the mirror delay line. Phase 3 happens when the price reaches apex N. And finally, phase 4 marks the cycle's completion, once the price reaches the trapezoid's top boundary.
All right, to conclude this documentation, it's essential that we review the disclaimers that come with this information.
So please take note of the following points. This is not financial advice. Leverage above 10 is prohibited. You should not invest essential personal funds. This analysis is part of public model documentation, and it's intended for verification only. And most importantly, risk management must always follow the user's specific instructions.
Again, this documentation is for public verification purposes. More information is available from the source material over at marketdnaedge.com.